So the day has come for most cities that are populous, and Houston was one, and now Orlando, Florida, I'm hearing, have come to lift their moratoriums on eviction. So we're going to see how this plays out, but from what I've been hearing, it is not good. And this article, I saw this also that just came in. So Orlando commercial evictions climb after Florida moratorium was lifted. And so basically, I don't know if this is actually an article right here, but a wave of Florida foreclosures expected to depress Orlando home prices. And so this is what has occurred or is going on right now. And so economic diversification key, regions housing woes, here's why. And so there's a lot, they were having a lot of fears in the beginning about eviction and foreclosure. And so now it is here. And so I just wanted you guys to see this because this has started. And so eviction moratorium ends as coronavirus deaths continue to mount. Florida, it says 850,000 Florida renters are at risk after state eviction moratorium is lifted. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has allowed the state eviction moratorium that he put in place at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic to expire after 6 months. And so this has just come in. So this is big news, and this is what's happened. Central Florida attorneys are seeking an uptick in commercial evictions after Florida moratorium has been lifted. And so here we go with this. 5 days after allowing all businesses, so this is about the eviction moratorium ends as coronavirus deaths mount, and this is in Palm Beach Post. Okay. All businesses in the state to reopen so idled workers can return to their jobs. Ron DeSantis, he's the governor, lifted the moratorium that protected people from losing their homes during the pandemic. And so I believe he lifted it because he felt that everybody was going to be able to return to their jobs as normal because he opened everything. And so I've also heard that a lot of people are high numbers in Florida contracted coronavirus, and that also there's high numbers of people that are really sick, and more people who are going to end up coming in contact with this deadly virus, unfortunately. So, with a nearly 6 month moratorium on evictions and foreclosures to expire late Wednesday, okay, DeSantis opted not to extend it. And so, your governor of your state um, has the wherewithal to extend it or lift it, and as they see fit, depending on the economics of it. And you know I believe he was looking at the fact that people were going back to work. But in Orlando, Florida, I don't know if that was one of the Disneylands where 280,000 workers were laid off recently. This just happened this week. So the governor director of communications, Fred Piccolo, Piccolo said that the moratorium on evictions is no longer needed because the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention recently launched a program that protects cash-strapped renters across the country from losing their homes and apartments through December 31st. Okay, so there's another program they claim that's in place, but we don't know what the loopholes of that is because a lot of these renters protection programs don't always help all the renters and all the people with houses either. So a state order would just cause confusion. So Piccolo said in an email announcing the end of the moratorium. So under the CDC program, the renters have to fill out, so here we go, they have to fill out paperwork swearing that they are unable to pay their full rent because the job loss is related to the pandemic. And so while the program that the CDC initiated will protect renters, it provides no relief for those who could lose their homes to you see what I'm saying? To foreclosure. This is housing advocates that have said this, so it doesn't protect homeowners. And we don't know if there's loopholes, hoops that you got to jump through, and if it's going to protect all the renters. So you have to be careful of these programs. They are feel good. I say feel good programs. They make you feel good because they sound good in the beginning. But then when you see this paperwork and how you got to fill things out, and then if your landlord is not participating and they're not sending back paperwork, or they're not filling it, helping you proceed with the process, you're still evicted. And so Palm Beach County renters and homeowners can seek financial help through programs and the county established with money it received through the Federal CARES Act. And so the county department and the community service has paid roughly $3.8 million to some 2,100 people who were unable to pay their rent or utility bills. More than 6,600 people requested assistance. So while nearly 1,100 requests were rejected, you see that? About 4,400 requests for help are pending. Okay? So you don't know what, like I said, you don't know what the hoops that you have to jump through are on these little programs, because they are feel-good programs. They tell you, oh, we're going to help you with this, we're going to help you with that. They sound good, they feel good. When you hear it, it's like, well, okay, we got relief, but you don't have relief because you had to fill out this paperwork. Maybe you're participating, but your landlord is not willing to participate, and so it could be a lot of things that, are involved with these little programs. So another pot of federal money was set aside to pay up to about $10,000 to help homeowners cover mortgage payments or association fees for 6 months. Roughly 900 homeowners were helped during 900. You got a lot of more people living in Florida than 900. Okay, so roughly 900 homeowners were helped during the first round. The first round, the program operated through the county's Office of Housing and Economic Stability. So a new round of applications will begin accepted on October the 9th. So hopefully you get picked. And so there's with some of these programs, there's a lottery. It's not first come, first serve. It's more like you get picked from a lottery, or they have other, hoops you got to jump through, or you have to wait. There's a waiting period of a couple of days. And so you don't know if these programs are going to pick you to be able to be selected to get the help. And then when you get picked, you got to fill out paperwork, and then your landlord has to be willing to participate. And I hear some landlords are not as willing to participate. So while clerk and comptroller Sharon Bach previously described the looming deluge of eviction cases as the nightmare, on Thursday she was more measured. In part, it was because of the relief possible through the CDC program. And so when the courts began issuing writs, or I think it's rights of possession, or writs of possession, rights of possession. Okay, we will be working to efficiently and effectively carry out our responsibility for both the landlord and the tenant. So Bach said in a statement, in addition to lifting the moratorium on evictions and foreclosures, DeSantis also ordered governmental bodies to resume in-person meetings November the 1st. So his continuing efforts to peel back rules designed to protect people from the deadly virus came as the number of COVID-19 cases and deaths continued to climb throughout the state, according to the daily update of Florida Department of Health. And so I've heard that Florida has a high number of people who've contracted the virus. and deaths as well. So an additional 2,628 cases and 127 new fatalities were reported statewide on Thursday, just on Thursday alone. So another 14 deaths were reported in the county. So that means that more than 1,400 people have died of COVID-19 since the pandemic had began, so the deaths well above the daily average of 9 that have been reported over the past 2 weeks comes as new normal emerges in the county. Okay, so while social distancing guidelines and mask mandate remain in place, the county officials on Tuesday said DeSantis forced them to allow all businesses to reopen at full capacity instead of limiting some, like restaurants at 50% capacity. And so I heard that on the news where they were saying that this governor was allowing everything to reopen, which was high risk. And so on Friday, DeSantis declared that all businesses and states would be allowed to enter phase 3, which allows all to reopen. So he also sharply limited local officials from continuing to impose any limitations on how many customers can be served. So they're basically going to be like how it used to be before the pandemic. That's how it feels to me, my opinion. So the losses of the lengthy shutdown were ruinous to the state's economy, workers, and I believe that's more what they're concerned about is the economy rather than the people. And I'm just going to be honest, and that's not just Florida, that's everywhere. Some people, their whole premise is about just the economics, not the safety of people. It's about, opening everything and operating like normal. And they're basically going to lay this in the laps of people because they're at their wits' end. They're going to say, hey, you're responsible for your own health. You social distance. You wear a mask. If you don't wear a mask, oh well. If you don't social distance or if you don't stop gathering in the large gatherings, that's you. So whatever happens, it's on you. It's not our doing. And so they're not going to be held responsible. They've done what they've done, and so now it's up to you to go and seek help and get the monies to cover yourself. You basically got to cover your family and yourself. You're on your own. It's like you either sink or swim, or try to swim in murky water. So that's the way this is looking. So the losses of the lengthy shutdown were ruinous to the state's economy, workers, and the businesses owners throughout the states. He said, we're not going to be closing anything going forward. So he pledged this. So he basically wants to keep everything open. So while a high number of deaths were reported in the county Thursday, 146 new cases is about average for the past 2 weeks. The additional cases means 46,698 people in the county have been infected. Statewide, 709,144 people have been diagnosed, and 14,619 people, including 175 non-residents, have died of highly contagious respiratory disease, state health officials have said. So nearly 4,700 coronavirus cases are in schools statewide. So while the number of the new cases reported in Florida on Wednesday was eclipsed by 4 other states, Sunshine State continues to be among the national leaders in the total number of people diagnosed with COVID-19, according to the COVID Tracking Project. California and Texas, far more populous than Florida, continue to have the most cases. And so the percentage of people in Florida testing positive dropped to about 4.65% on Thursday. Global health experts say the rate must consistently remain below 5.0% before meaningful steps can be taken to curb the spread of the virus. So the state's positivity rate has averaged 4.61% over the past 14 days. So the county rate, which indicates the prevalence of the disease, inched up to slightly 4.26%. So still over the past 14 days, it has averaged 3.8%. And so the number of people hospitalized for the treatment of COVID-19 continues to drop, according to the Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration. So there are about 2,082 people hospitalized throughout the state on Thursday, roughly 1,500 fewer than on September the 1st. So the patient counts in the county dropped to about 110, the agency reported. So by comparison, 215 were hospitalized for COVID-19 September the 1st. And so this is what has come out in terms of eviction moratorium ending and the coronavirus deaths that continue to mount. And so this is problematic. And so this is how you can see how this is going to play out in other states as well. So, by looking at this is sort of modeling for you what could happen in California, what has happened in Texas. And I'm hearing in Houston, they had lifted their moratorium. They also had high levels of eviction rate, evictions. And so eviction damage public health. The CDC aims to curb them, but I believe it's too little too late. And so they've already lifted it. And so Maricopa County adds $20 million more for eviction and utilities help, along with the nonprofit and food bank. And so that's out of the Arizona Republic. So they were tapping into 20 million of its federal COVID-19 relief funds to mostly expand, I guess, their efforts. And so everywhere is being hit with this. And so this is the reason why the COVID-19 is so serious, because it is basically altered life as we know it in terms of many places. This is not just in one state, it's everywhere. And so everybody is feeling this. So the U.S. orders eviction moratorium for most through year's end. So some places have extended their moratoriums for the end of the year, but it's just prolonging things. And so for those that are not able to pay back all of the money come the beginning of January or the end of January, they're going to be looking for that money, and they're not going to be able to come up with it. It's going to be the same song and dance that we hear from these other states. So we could be looking at what's going to happen with them to see what's going to happen in 2021. And it's not just renters that are affected, it's homeowners that are affected with foreclosure. So this is why this is serious. So this is a crisis upon other crises that are happening as we know it, as we speak. So it's just sad, because this is what has come to be. And now that people are feeling the pain, some people are feeling the pain of this, we could learn a lesson from what to do and to prepare for when this comes down our way. So having said that, I'm going to let this video go. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for listening. Stay safe, keep your family safe, and stay encouraged as best as possible, and try to be informed. Try to find your local resources in your city or your town, or try to be active in these situations so that you can at least have somewhere to go, or you have some sense of direction, because I believe this is going to add to a lot of the frustrations, if not already, of why people are not happy and not feeling as jovial as possible, is on top of it being sick if they can happen to contract the virus. Opening everything, I believe the reason why people are opting to do this is because of the economy, and they're afraid that they're going to be in the red even more if they don't open up the businesses. They feel that maybe that's the lifeline that they need, so that people will be able to go back to some normalcy, so that maybe they can play catch up on their bills. So having said that, I'm going to let this video go. Thank you for listening.